This is Larry Zbyszko, wrestling's living legend, and we're perched on the top rope.
The following announcement has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
To me, there's something special, as you see behind me. I'm also a figure collector.
I see all the little guys behind you, yeah.
Yeah, so you had a WWE Elite come out in a special box with, Nash and Eddie Guerrero and things like that, which that box set is extremely hard to find and expensive now. But you also had an AWA figure with their Remco figures that they did. When these figures of you were coming out, especially your first one, what did you think of it? Was it a big deal for you? Because most wrestlers, it's just but before then, it was just a T-shirt or a promo to sign an autograph and things like that.
What before that, yeah, I mean, there wasn't merchandise. I think it came around probably starting around the mid '80s.
Mm-hmm.
And the first figure I had is an interesting story behind this. Was it when I was in the AWA, and I think it was AWA had action figures that came out with two people together.
Yeah, 2-packs.
Yeah, 2-packs. And here's the interesting story behind it, because when the dolls first came out, the AWA dolls, they had 2-packs. But with my doll, it was me in the AWA, and the other doll was Ric Flair. Ric Flair wasn't in the AWA. He was in the NWA. And there's a reason that it was a me doll and a Ric Flair doll. And here's the story behind that, because this is when it first started, and we didn't realize how great merchandising was going to become.
Mm-hmm.
But what was supposed to happen was at the time, the era was changing into nationwide cable and all that. The Crockett's and the Gagnes were trying to work together to run shows to compete against Vince. They ran the Meadowlands together and some other shows together. And then they had this idea, and the reason me and Flair were in the same packet were because when these dolls were to be released, there was things that were going to happen where guys from the AWA were going to invade some NWA show or vice versa. And it was funny because I remember walking into a studio one day in the AWA, and Vern pulled me over and said, "Hey, make a couple interviews knocking Flair and challenging him to a match." Because he wasn't in the territory. He was in, with the Crockett's. And I went, "Really? Is he coming here?" And Vern said, "Well, not just do that." So I made a couple of, interviews challenging Flair and knocking him. And then Flair was supposed to, make a couple of interviews from the NWA, reaming me and knocking me back, and some, bad mouthing between the two different networks and, territories. And then one territory was going to invade the other. And that's why me and Flair wound up in the same pack, because we were supposed to be wrestling each other when these dolls came out.
Mm-hmm.
But at the last minute, the Crockett's and Gagnes, something didn't work out, and it never happened. That's why they came out with a collector edition with me and Bockwinkel in the pack. But the interesting part was that same idea that was going to happen was the idea that 10 years later became the New World Order scenario, where we made it look like one group was invading the other group.
Yeah.
So that's where the whole idea started, was back, popped up back in the mid '80s, and why the doll collection. Yeah, if you got a thing with a me and Flair doll in it, that was going to be the beginning of what 10 years later became the same idea that was the New World Order.
Oh, wow. That's
interesting.
That is very interesting. That's incredible, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a big, figure collector and everything like that. And usually I like to, if I meet a wrestler or someone in the business and they have a figure, I get it signed, unless it's too expensive, because finding yours they are expensive. online
They
now.
are.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Finding them in package is very difficult and very expensive. Anything from the 80s and the early 90s, the figures are not cheap. They
I think I got some new figures coming out, I think.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching that video. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you can get all our content here at Perched on the Top Rope. And fans, remember, spoiler free's the way to be. I'm out.